Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Formerly, do I still say formerly known as Twitter?
I still call it Twitter. I don't care what anybody else
X.
says.
It's so dumb. I don't know why they changed it. Do I still say form? Make sure you check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com, and go like, share, subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Hive, and
some Blue Sky or
Blue
something.
Sky. Is MySpace still up and running?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. We're just go search Hollywood Matrimony. That's us.
All I know is you're in my top 8 spaces.
What does that mean?
In MySpace.
Oh, thanks.
Remember you had your top 8 spaces? Top 10, whatever.
I worked so hard on customize. You could customize
your
your background wallpaper.
I remember yours. It was dumb.
I spent time on it.
I know. That's what made it sad that still looked like that. I'm just kidding. I don't even remember what yours looked like. I remember it had something to do with music or something.
Yeah, it did. Anyways, I'm going to go check out MySpace.
Some waste of time. It's still out there.
Yeah.
So is Movie Pass.
Oh, well.
Just because something there doesn't mean it should be used.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. All right. We got to talk about some movies.
So I think before we talk about movies today, we need to go into our Golden Globes because they're actually starting to air right now. So
right now.
I think before people think we cheat,
yes,
I say we go ahead and make our announcements now. And then
predictions.
Yeah, predictions, excuse me. And then we can figure out next week what we were right or wrong.
Well, I don't think we need to do all the categories.
We're doing every single one because they're all big categories. The only ones I don't care really about are like the screenplays and all that stuff.
So you can do this as well. If you go to their website, they do have a printable ballot so you can track the winners. What we like to do is we go and we pick what we think will win, who we actually wanted to win, and then we'll highlight who actually won. So it's a whole thing. We do this thing.
We usually do it the week before, but we didn't do a show last week.
Yeah, so we're behind. It's airing now on CBS.
All right, so motion picture drama. What did you pick to win?
I think it's going to be Killers of the Flower Moon.
What do you want to win?
Past Lives.
So
I really love Past Lives.
I think it'll be Killers of the Flower Moon, but I want Oppenheimer to win. Just
okay,
I like
that makes sense too. And I think either one is.
But Past Lives I'll be okay with because that's the only reason we didn't pick Anatomy of a Fall is Zone of Interest because I haven't seen it.
I didn't see it.
So, but we do have one of them.
Okay.
Motion picture musical comedy.
Where's that one?
That's the second over. I went straight across. Sorry.
Okay. I think Poor Things.
And who do you want to win?
I think they're going to pick The Holdovers.
I want The Holdovers because I do love that movie, but I do think Poor Things I think is going to sweep a lot of stuff.
I think so too.
And I'd be okay with that because I love Poor Things as well.
It's a good movie.
It's a movie weird. I didn't have any interest in watching outside
weird.
of the director being from The Lobster and the cast, but it wasn't like I didn't like let's go watch that. And then we watched it. I'm like I love this movie.
It was a really good movie.
Best animated picture.
I picked Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It could also be Elemental.
Well, who do you think's going to win?
I think it should be Spider-Man. That's who I want and who I think.
I picked Spider-Man to win, but I think it's going to be the Boy and the Heron because there's two reasons. One, it's excellent. Two, it's probably going to be his last film. So sometimes I think that plays into certain things. That plays into another thing I have a choice too.
Yeah.
Cinematic Achievement, which is a new one this year.
Yeah, I didn't understand really what this category is about.
I'm assuming it's like just doing something new in the box office, whether it's numbers or something that people don't expect.
Yeah, so to me, I think because of that, I went with John Wick Part 4. To me, that is such an amazing film, the attention to detail, and it is non-stop.
Yeah. And who do you think will win
it? Either that, they're probably going to pick, I don't know, Oppenheimer or Barbie.
See, I went a complete different thing.
I was hoping it's Spider-Man.
So I picked Spider-Man as I would like to win.
That's what I wrote.
But I think it's going to be Taylor Swift. And the reason I think that is because it's such an epic.
That is groundbreaking.
There's so many things about that journey of her redoing her music and everything. You can't change it.
I know. I'm just going to put a question mark.
Of everything. I think Taylor Swift is going to get that just because that was just an achievement.
Well, and how cool is it?
I don't care about Taylor Swift. I've never seen it.
I don't like her, but whatever.
I think she's a nice person. I'm just not a fan of her music.
Me either. But I think, too, this is something we've never seen before that a concert film has made this much money.
Well, that and her redoing her entire album because of the rights situation.
There's been concert films or
people have done all these things, but
that have gotten great numbers, but not this.
But it's all her. I thought that was crazy. Most picture non-English. We didn't really see a lot of these. other than Past Life, and then you saw Society of Snow. So
I'm picking Society of Snow just because I know the guy, but also Past Life. I picked the
here's what I did though. Anatomy of Fall has been getting such buzz.
Right.
I think that's gonna be the one that wins. I picked the Snow movie because that's your friend.
Thank you.
And I haven't seen it yet, but I would be happy if Past Lives won.
Yeah. Agreed.
For performance by a female in a motion picture drama,
I picked Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon.
I picked her that I want to win, but I think Greta Lee from Past Lives will win.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And I'd be happy.
I'd also be good with the girl from Priscilla. We're going to talk about it later, but Kaylee Spaney, she did an amazing job going from that little girl to a full-grown Priscilla.
She didn't play both parts.
She did.
How did she play the little girl and then play the adult?
Well, the teenage girl. I mean, she was a little girl. We're going to talk about that.
I'm kidding.
Ooh, girl.
All right. Best performance by male in a drama.
Where is that?
That's the third one down on the first one.
I picked Leonardo DiCaprio just because it's something very different than what I've seen him do. And I think it takes a lot of energy and effort to play someone that naive.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be that Barry Coogan guy from Saltburn. Oh, that movie.
So I kind of did similar. I want Leonardo DiCaprio to win because I always want Leonardo DiCaprio to win. Because he's been nominated so many times.
So
only won. I don't know about Golden Globe, but on Oscars, he's only won once, if I remember correctly. I'm actually fine with almost any of these people winning, but I picking Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. One, because I really like that guy. I love that movie, but I always thought I've been a fan of his, and I don't think he's ever gotten enough credit. So him getting nominated is a big deal enough, but I would love to see him win. Plus, I think he'd give a creepy speech. Performance by a female in a musical or comedy.
I'm picking Emma Stone for Poor Things, and backup, I would say Margot Robbie for Barbie.
I went Emma Stone both across the board.
Okay, awesome. Look at you.
I did say I would love to see Jennifer Lawrence win again.
I would like her to win something.
But she has won Oscars and stuff.
But I want to see if she trips again and does a funny speech.
Yeah, but I think Emma Stone's going to sweep that across the board.
But it could actually be Fantasia for Color Purple. I think it's getting a lot of buzz.
It is. And I did speak to somebody that said they thought it was really powerful. So I'm interested in seeing it. I love the original, but we were concerned about how...
it's based on the stage production, this version. So
best performance by male actor in a musical or comedy.
I know you're going to pick Nicolas Cage. No.
I didn't even pick Nicolas Cage.
I'm picking Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid. I don't like Joaquin Phoenix, but I love that movie. He was good in it. But I bet you were going to say Paul Giamatti from Holdovers.
I went Paul Giamatti across the board. Although I would be insanely excited if Nicolas Cage won.
What about Timothy Chalamet?
I think he's worthy of that in Wonka.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Timothy Chalamet is a great actor. I'm just not a super fan of his yet.
Yeah, lots of people
I think he's been good in Dune. He was great in that Bones and All or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
But he's most excellent in Wonka. I would love to watch Nicolas Cage.
Damon?
Again, this is another one of those categories I'd be fine if anybody won.
Why didn't they put Matt Damon for Oppenheimer?
Because he's in Oppenheimer.
I know. Well, he should have been that.
Because he didn't get nominated for that. He got nominated for He
should have got nominated for that.
Because this is a best performance, not a supporting.
Okay.
He's supporting in Oppenheimer.
I gotcha. I'm there.
All right. So, best performance by a female in a supporting role.
I was saying Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer just because her part is small, but it's powerful and it's interesting because throughout the film, when you get to that end and she's like, I was like, oh, dang. Dang.
Even though you didn't really like the movie.
No. But I think maybe it might be that Rosamund Pike from Saltburn. I don't know.
I went with Devon Joy Randolph across the board. I know she's so good in it. Plus, she's just one of those of this group of people you're looking at. She seems kind of the wild card, but she's so good in the movie that I hope I pick both sides. But again, I would be fine with Emily Blunt.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Jodie Foster or Julianne Moore.
I don't care about the rest of them.
I'm not a huge
best performance by male in a supporting role.
Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things because it was amazing, but I think also perhaps Robert Downey Jr. or Robert De Niro. I don't know. I can't choose.
I went Mark Ruffalo across the board.
Okay, good.
Again, this is a category I'll be fine with anybody. Although I don't think Ryan Gosling should be nominated for Barbie. I don't think anything about Barbie other than screenplay should, or maybe
a musical.
Songs.
Songs.
I didn't think songs. Set design, screenplay is the only stuff I think it was worthy of being nominated. It's not a horrible movie. I enjoyed it, but I think it's overhyped. I think it's getting hyped because of its success. Like I think Barbie was an impressive achievement in that achievement award thing, But it's because who would have thought a movie about Barbie would make money like that?
Correct. I'm getting messages. The Dallas Cowboys won the division.
Don't spoil it. People may not watch the song.
Sorry. Spoiler alert. Let me put up the spoiler alert.
I already know
That's not even about this.
It doesn't matter. Some people may not have watched the game yet.
Who do they play next? I don't know.
I know, but...
Who? Tell me later. Okay. Sorry.
Best director for a motion picture. Here's my thing with this category. I think that a best picture and a best director should go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But some of the people are not on best picture, but the director is.
See, and that doesn't.
I'm kind of torn on that because I understand how it works, but I also think how can you have a best picture without the director? I agree.
So I picked for best picture Killers of the Flower Moon, so I picked Martin Scorsese. And then my backup is Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things.
I went straight across the board with Yorgos Lanthimos.
You love Poor Things.
Again, I wouldn't have a problem with anybody on this category again, except for Greta Gerwig. Although, if she won for Barbie, I don't think that's another one I probably wouldn't be as bothered about, only because she put together a movie about Barbie that actually works.
Yes.
That shouldn't work.
And that's fine. It's a great achievement.
Again, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think anything about Barbie. Just like I didn't, before anybody goes, you know that thing. I didn't think Black Panther should have been nominated for anything either. Yeah. And I love Black Panther.
And I also, I don't think either one of us subscribe to the theory that we need to put a woman in there just to have a woman, or we need to put a person of color just to have it. It needs to be worthy.
I think Barbie is a good movie, and I think Black Panther is an excellent movie, but neither one of them should be nominated for Oscar.
Okay.
I
didn't screenplay. Do this. I skipped this one.
Okay, don't worry about that. Let's move on. Did you do any of this page?
I did. I just happened to not
tell me
check
which ones you didn't do.
Go.
Oh, you did the rest.
I just skipped it.
We'll skip screenplay. Score. I just did Poor Things because I didn't.
I did Spider-Verse, because that music actually in the different areas and time periods I thought was really good.
I don't know a lot of the original songs. What movies they come from?
I did the one from Barbie. Just
I didn't pick anything
from.
I just picked Peaches from the Mario Brothers movie. This one Jack Black sings because it's an actual funny ass song. And none of the music in Barbie really.
I picked Barbie.
Spoke to me, so I didn't care.
Okay, then we're to TV.
TVC's drama.
Okay, I picked The Crown. I love that show. I think it could also be the morning show.
So I picked 1923 because I love 1923.
Did you? Okay.
But I think it's gonna be The Last of Us because it's been getting a lot of buzz. And Last of Us was way better than I expected, even though I'm not a big Pedro Pascal fan. I watched it during our Hawaii trip on the plane.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. It's good.
Nice.
Best musical, TV series, musical, or comedy?
I picked Only Murders in the Building because I love it. I think it could also be the Abbott Elementary show you like.
That show is excellent. I picked Only Murders that I think will win, but I picked The Bear because I just finished watching it. That show is so good.
Okay.
It is so good. Limited series, anthology series, motion picture made for TV.
I want it to be Lessons in Chemistry. I think it might be Daisy Jones and the Six. Everybody talks about it.
I picked Fargo because I'm a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
I want anything in Lessons in Chemistry. I've not seen it to win just because to piss off the people that don't like Brie Larson.
Yes, but it's a good show.
I haven't seen the show, and it's not for any reason other than I just haven't watched it.
Man, it is like the very first episode. You're all like that, and then it's like gut wrenching.
Yeah, I just like when people that don't like her.
Yes.
I want her to win things.
Yes, I agree.
Which is funny because she won an Oscar before she did all this other stuff, but then people think she can't act.
Right. Whatever.
Best performance by a female in a TV series.
Melda Staunton for The Crown. And/or Carrie Russell for The Diplomat. I love Carrie Russell.
Wrong.
The Diplomat's good.
I haven't seen him. I picked Helen Mirren because she's so good in 1923, and of course I picked Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us because it's getting a lot of buzz. By a male and actor in a TV series.
I picked Dominic West from The Crown or the guy from Succession, Jeremy Strong.
Again, I had to go with. I've only seen one of these shows, so I chose Pedro Pascal just because that show's getting a lot of buzz. But I chose Gary Oldman that I want to win just because I love anything Gary Oldman does.
He deserves to win some stuff.
I've never seen the show, but it's Gary freaking Oldman.
That's all you need to know.
A female in a TV series, musical, or comedy.
I hope Selena Gomez wins something. And if not, I hope Natasha Lyonne wins. Just because she's so weird out there. I love her. Poker Face. It's a good show.
I was half with you. I chose Selena Gomez for me to win. But I actually went, I did from The Bear to win because everybody in that show is excellent.
Nice. Okay.
A male actor in a musical or comedy.
I picked Steve Martin and Martin Short because they go together to me.
So that who do you think will win? One of them two?
I think one of them two. I hope.
So I picked Jeremy Allen White from The Bear, who also played Carrie Von Erich in Iron Claw.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And I love that guy. It's shameless. So I would love. This is one of those cases of this guy coming from kind of
any of these.
Well, this guy's. It's one of those stories of those guys that are kind of like. you know him from a show, but he doesn't have that big draw. But now he's gotten so much buzz between Kerry Von Erich and the Bear, and he was always great in Shameless. So I picked him as I want to win, but
this is a great category. Bill Hader, Jason Segel, Jason Sudeikis.
I'm happy with anyone in them.
Yeah, any of these people.
I do need to go watch Ted Lasso.
All their shows are good.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ted Lasso, but I've heard it's great.
People love it.
Performance by a female in a limited series anthology motion
I'm picking Brie Larson to make people mad. It could be the girl from Daisy Jones and the Six.
So I picked Juno Temple because I watched Fargo, and she's excellent.
You didn't pick your friend Rachel Weisz?
No, but I did. But I did say I think it'll be Brie Larson. Like I said, I stuck with that theory of I want Brie Larson just to slap people. Best performance by a male in a limited series.
I picked Woody Harrelson just because I didn't see the show, but I like him. But what if it's the guy from Daisy Jones? I just feel like Daisy Jones is going to win some stuff.
I don't think about Daisy Dukes, but I picked David Oyelowo because I like him. I haven't got to watch show, but I'm very excited to watch the show.
I love him too.
But I picked John Hamm to win because he is really good in Fargo this season.
Okay, there you go.
I'm not usually a big John Hamm fan, but he's really, really creepy and good in the show. Performance by a female actor in a supporting role.
I picked Meryl Streep in Only Murders because that was so funny. But it could also be Christina Ricci because people love Yellow Jackets, and I think it's getting extra buzz with the Society of the Snow movie coming out because it's loosely based on that. Yeah.
This is one of the only ones I didn't pick anybody from the Bear, although she's excellent. I went across the board with Meryl Streep because she was so good in that show.
I love her.
Best performance by a male in a supporting role.
I'm picking Alexander Skarsgård for Succession just because I love him. I've not seen the show. But then I picked maybe the other guys from Succession. I don't know the other.
You know who Alan Ruck is?
No.
That's the guy in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, his friend.
Oh, Ferris's friend. Okay,
so I'd love to have him to win.
That'd be cool.
I picked Evan Moss Backrock from the Bear just because everybody's so good in that show across the board. And lastly, best performance in a stand-up comedy.
That's cool that this is in here. Yeah. Everybody's mad at Ricky Gervais. What if he won something?
I picked him to win because the irony of him winning and his special is good. I ended up watching it. It is so good.
I kind of like Chris Rock. I think it was a great comeback after everything that happened. But what if it was Amy Schumer?
Well, my thing is
just to make people mad.
And the more I thought about it, I think Chris Rock will win.
I hope so.
I picked him as my choice to win, but I said Ricky Gervais should win or will win. But here's the thing: there's two things on that side that my thought process. Ricky Gervais has been the host for the Oscars numerous times. He got a bunch of backlash.
Yep, every time.
Chris Rock got slapped at the Oscars, and I can see them giving him the award not because he got slapped, but because this special directly addresses it.
Yeah. And Will Smith won't be there for the next how many years?
But he could be at the Golden Globes, I think.
Oh, snap.
Slap. Anyway, so those are our choices. After we watch the show, we'll find out what we want.
Next week.
If you're already watching it, don't tell us. We'll find out in a little while.
Yes. So there you go.
All right. So let's move on.
All right. Let's talk about our first movie.
What we got?
Let's see. We're not in no particular order. I'm just going to throw what's up next. We're talking about this Maestro.
This is what we should talk about last week.
Yeah.
And it does have a lot of nominations.
Yeah.
It is the story of who? What is the guy's name?
The Maestro.
It's a real life guy.
I need to go look it up.
You don't have it written down?
No.
Come on, lady. Get your life together.
Maestro Bradley Cooper. They got to pick the right one.
While she's doing that, this is another case of Bradley Cooper both starring and
Leonard Bernstein.
Yes, he directed and stars, and this movie months and months ago got a massive backlash about him wearing a prosthetic nose. I don't know when. I have a major issue. Like I'm not saying I agree with like blackface, but I have this major issue of people's complaints about prosthetics because it has been part of theater, part of film, part of TV of when you're playing a character wearing some enhanced prosthetic or wearing something to make you look like, and you get all these people like, well, they should have cast somebody with a bigger nose to look more like them. They should have cast somebody that was actually handicapped, or sometimes I agree with it, but most of the time it's like, what happened to acting being acting? Why is that not okay anymore? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially when it's not like in this case, love or hate this movie, there's nothing disparaging about the way they're making him look. They're trying to make Bradley Cooper, who was probably considered one of the prettiest men around, look like this other guy who wasn't really, So anyway, that's just my 2 cents because it irritates me that I just feel like the art of acting is not looked at as an art anymore. It's always looked at, you're attacking people by acting like a gay person or acting like you're handicapped. They should hire gay people for that. They should hire handicapped. Well, they're not always people that can do the job. So anyway, moving on. What'd you think? What's the movie about?
So basically, Bradley Cooper's telling the life story of Leonard Bernstein, starting when he filled in for the New York Philharmonic.
Who is he?
He is a conductor, a writer. He did symphony work. He did musicals. He wrote the score for West Side Story. I mean, big stuff of that time period. And it's basically following his life. That's kind of it. It's a little controversy
and
there.
It's interesting because it's a later portion of his life.
It's the later part of his life. He's married. He's got kids and all that, but he also has a boyfriend or two.
You know what this movie reminded me of?
Just
the tone and the segmentation of the life reminded me of how they handled Ferrari.
Yes.
It's the same idea where they, instead of doing his entire life, this one jumps around a little bit more than Ferrari does. But this one felt like it's very much this kind of segment of his life. And there's so much going on. What did you think of the film?
I enjoyed the film. I think Bradley Cooper was really good, by the way.
He is excellent.
I think
I will say he is excellent.
Part of this movie.
Yes.
Carey Mulligan, I'm not necessarily a huge fan one way or the other. I think she did a good job because throughout the film, she has to keep him together. And she understands everything else that he's doing, what's going on. But she, during this time, it's that time period where you stayed together.
No matter what.
And she's like, you're making a scene. You need to get your crap together, dude. You know, so she was trying to keep him together and just, you know, so I got to give her some props too. I didn't pick her to win anything. Maybe I should have. But,
no.
I do think it's one of these movies that you're going to see, you're going to be impressed, but then it's going to be like, oh, okay. Unfortunately, it's not stick within.
Yeah, because it's one of those movies that, like, again, I thought he was fantastic.
He's great.
I think the parallels of black and white and color is interesting to the storytelling.
It starts off in black and white.
His dedication to the role, I thought, was fantastic. Knowing that he learned to conduct, and he reshoots that famous sequence of him conducting, and even you were like, I think he went a little too much, and then we went and watched the original video. I was like, no, he didn't. He did exactly what this guy did. And but I do think it's surrounded by a movie that's just good.
Yeah.
Not fantastic.
He's great. She's really good. And this story, unfortunately, I think maybe we're dropped in a weird time. I don't know.
I think it's a case of that it's just because it's not an exciting story.
I mean, it is.
But I mean, it's not like...
But it's not going to be one of those. It's not going to be a transformative movie.
Yeah, it's not something that pulls you in, that sits with you, that you think about later on. It's just like, because I remember finishing watching it, and then it was kind of over.
Is this his first time directing?
No, he also did The Star Is Born.
Oh, he did do that. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's done some of those too. But he's very skilled as a director.
Amazing.
I'm very impressed with him.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, you should see it. I think it's important to watch.
It's a good movie, but it is what she likes to refer to as.
It's a talkie.
And it's a little all over the place at times. Kind of confuses you.
You have to keep track.
But eventually you start realizing the format. And you're like, oh, okay. But it's decent. It's on Netflix.
And if either one of them wins something, I'm fine with it. They're both good.
Yeah.
They're both good in the movie.
Yeah. It is what it is.
All right.
If you're a fan of Bernstein's, then that's probably going to be a much better movie to you, too, because you can hear
No, and I thought it was
amazing. Or it'll make you less of a fan because of knowing some of the stuff that went around.
I thought it was amazing.
All right, moving on.
Are you okay to go here?
Yeah, whatever.
We're going out of order.
We got a couple of those today.
All right, Nicolas Cage.
Well, that's the other thing. Did you see the updated list because there was a movie added that was not on there before?
The other one of his?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go add it
that's
right
why you
now.
Had to double check it because you asked. I took the other one off and added the new one.
Okay.
Because there was a couple we didn't end up watching. Anyway, while you're doing that, I'll tell about this.
Yes, tell me about
so our
this.
next one is a Nicolas Cage movie because we love the Nicolas Cage. This time, not starring Nicolas Cage's hair that's always famous. Butcher's Crossing.
He looks good without hair, yo.
He does.
He's
he
looking
looks good,
very
bald.
nice.
And I was just telling you when we were watching this, and I think we need to see Nicolas Cage bald and John Travolta bald in a movie together.
Well, if they come back for Face Off part, whatever.
They like hair off. That'll be the next movie. But this next one, it's called Butcher's Crossing.
Okay. Tell me about it.
It's kind of a westernish, but it's not like shoot 'em up cowboy western. It's about buffalo hunters.
Yes.
The basic premise is this guy who came from a wealthy life, and he was at Harvard, but he wanted to see more about the world and the West, and experience life, if you will. And so he comes to this guy that he knows, and he goes teams up with this frontiersman, if you will, who's a buffalo hunter. So at the time, big business is buffalo hides. And so this guy knows about this herd that no one's ever seen that's like massive, and they can get the most hides anybody's ever seen. So it becomes a journey of not only the elements, the human spirit, greed,
and then people go crazy.
Obsession.
Yes, that's what
self-discovery.
That craziness was the obsession, like single-minded obsession, that it was driving him crazy.
And I really dug this movie.
This was a really good movie. It was scary for me to watch because there's so many bison.
She is afraid of buffalo.
Terrified of the bison, guys.
And so for anybody that doesn't know, buffaloes, as we know it in the U.S., are not actually buffaloes. Correct. They're bison. But they call them the American buffaloes, and because that's what they've been called.
I'm going to say bison.
Actual buffalo are different.
They're the water buffalo.
They're water buffaloes are actual buffaloes, but they're in the same thing.
Same family.
Anybody that's like, no, that's not true. Yes, it is. Bison are one thing, buffalo is something else, but they're in the same family.
I'm scared of them.
Anyway, they do refer to them as buffalo in this because that's what we've grown to call them, buffalo. And there are a lot of them in this movie.
Tons and tons of buffalo.
But it's a serious movie. It's kind of gritty. It's dirty. And it's interesting because they kind of set the tone to where you think Nicolas Cage is up to something. You know, you immediately think he's trying to take advantage of this guy. You think he's ripping people off.
For sure.
And it's not even what the story ends up being.
No, it's not even about that. It goes crazy, guys.
And this is a little more initially subdued Nicolas Cage. He does have his crazy Nick Cage moments that are so brilliant, but he's very confident in who he is and his beliefs, and nobody else believes that he's seen this herd. And so he has that weird obsession. And there's a lot of elements here just on the human spirit and the human character.
Yeah. And I think it's, in the time period of the Westerns where you're out there for days and then weeks and then suddenly it's months and something happens and they're gone so long that people think they're dead,
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I think too, his obsession with these buffalo hides, thinking this is it was basically the get rich quick scheme of the day.
He found his
but
he found his Moby Dick.
But this becomes so insane. Like, I started feeling bad for the buffalo because he was killing them for no reason. And it becomes that whole thing of
he wasn't killing them for no reason. Okay. It was business, but but it's like
the top. Like, he was trying to wipe out an entire herd of thousands for no reason.
Well, if he was doing it for money,
I know,
because that was going to be his last.
He didn't need to.
It was his last.
Like, I started feeling bad. Like,
but all you
this
say that, but
at
this time period, I know, but at this time period, a lot of they wasn't just for no reason.
I know.
They were building. I mean, they were making clothing. They were doing all this stuff. That's why buffalo pelts.
Not the way the natives did it correctly.
I know that, but that's why the pelts were so popular in business, because they were making clothing. They'd make coverings and blankets and all these different things that were happening. And it's interesting too to see the business side of all this and how it plays out. And again, it goes into the greed and obsession and what you're willing to do. And then the other guy who's really just wanting experience in life outside of a silver spoon in his mouth, and what he's going through and having to understand and witness. I think there's a line at the end of it. They ask him, did you see what you did? Like, I kind of just laughs, and he's like, I saw exactly what I needed to see. And
knows you need to go back home.
Yeah, he knows the truth of the world.
But it's crazy. I think too, it brings up at the end what we already know, that, I mean, we're so destructive as human beings, but at least the natives, they were using, like, they would use the meat, they would use the bone, like, they only killed what was needed.
Yeah.
Not just because to kill, they killed. And so then it was saying during that time period, the buffalo hunters like nearly wiped out the entire species. There were only like hundreds left
out of like 30,000 or 300,000, whatever.
Like literally hundreds. And this film was shot on a reservation, a buffalo refuge area.
Yeah.
They made sure nothing was hurt, and that this group specifically, or this tribe in this area, has been trying to rebuild the population. So that was nice.
It was interesting how the entire movie, because at the end of the movie, she was kind of like, okay, I guess. And then after reading everything, she goes, okay, this movie has a better purpose.
Yes, it has a good purpose to teach us a lesson.
Kind of, not only does it shine in the light on the greed of, and it's interesting, you could take the buffalo element out of it, but almost any kind of business where you have somebody that's greedy and they just want it all, and then things don't go the way they want. And how it further puts their obsession and their insanity from one side flips into something else because things don't go well.
He was crazy.
And
crazy.
But couple that with, this is kind of shining a spotlight on the horrific nature of the buffalo stuff. And there's some stuff that might be a little hard for you to watch if you're an animal person, because they do skin buffaloes.
It's a little bloody and
they're obviously not skinning real buffalo.
Correct.
But
no buffalo were harmed in the making of this film. But it is a little bit grody at times. I've never had seen grody in a long time, but it was grody. All right, but it is a fantastic movie. We love Nicolas Cage around here. You can't go wrong. All right, are you ready for the next one?
Sure, it's available now on Blu-ray and DVD.
There you go. All right, this one, the ever controversial. You have a specific story of this one.
Oh yes.
This is the Jim Caviezel movie, Sound of Freedom.
Now, you may not know this.
Based on the incredible true story.
You may not know this yourself, because I just learned this today, because I haven't written the review yet.
Okay.
I haven't had time. But this movie was shot back in like 2018.
Okay.
And I believe it was supposed to be distributed by Fox. And then when the Disney purchase, it got shelved, partly because of a lot of the stuff in the background that I think the studios didn't want to be a part of it. So then they were trying to find different distribution. I think they passed on some other people, but other people didn't want to get their hands on it. So for those that don't know, this movie was released as an independent film through Angel Productions or whatever. And at the end of the movie, or the beginning of the movie in theaters, there was a message from Jim Caviezel that said, please help support this film. Thank you for watching. If you can, go buy more tickets and pass them to other people so that other people can see this movie. Because he really believed in the importance of the film. That started this wave of propaganda, partially because of Caviezel's own real life things he said and supports, and we're not going into that.
That's a little political. Don't want to go there.
We're not going into that with that, because I am a fan of Jim Caviezel. I'm not a fan of his choices and his beliefs, but I've been a fan of his all the way since the movie Frequency, and I loved his TV show he did, and I thought he was great in Passion of the Christ, and I've loved him in a lot of other stuff. It's just, so I wanted to see this movie, but I wasn't willing to pay for this movie. Because of some of the stuff, and I didn't know what was true, what was, and I didn't want to support something that I didn't agree with. To the point that I had heard stories of people supposedly saying they had seen the movie and how great it was, but didn't actually see it because they were trying to push. People were just walking through theaters to watch this movie, and I'm thinking, whatever, that's bull. While I was sitting for the Oppenheimer screening, we were all sitting in the lobby because they delayed our screening, so the whole hallway is packed. There's these two guys that couldn't have been more than 18, 19, maybe 20s. They were walking through. All they were doing was going, hey, have y'all seen Sound of Freedom? It's so good. You got to see this movie. It's such a great movie. And they just kept walking. But they weren't walking out of the theater, like leaving. They were walking through the middle, like going thing. And we were at North Park, so there wasn't an exit on the other end.
Right.
There's that only one exit. So I don't know where they were going. If they were going to watch that movie now, if somebody paid them to walk around, because that was some of the rumors. I don't know if it was true, but I saw that firsthand.
Yeah.
And it turned me off from the movie even more. All that to be said, we realized it is now playing on Prime.
Yes.
So we wanted to see it. So now we finally got to watch Sound of Freedom. Tell us what the story's about.
Okay, so the movie is based on the true story of a man who was an agent, who was a government agent, and they were investigating child pornography and child trafficking. Their job was to find the child pornographers and put these people away. He actually comes upon an actual child that he saves and finds out the child has a sibling. And he decides, instead of just getting after the pornography people, he's going to go after the traffickers. And thus begins the story into the wilds of Central America. Central America, to literally, he goes on a mission to just go find one child and ends up finding much more. There you go. it's interesting that his wife is played by Mira Sorvino, and she gets maybe like 4 lines in the whole thing. I wish we had more, because here's one thing I'm going to tell you. I deeply, sincerely believe that Jim Caviezel really cares about these movies. He really cares about this. I think based on his own comments of after doing Passion of the Christ, he says that changed him so profoundly that I believe in this message of the guy, the true life guy is like, God's children are not for sale. That's the message of the movie. So I believe that he believes this is a great film. He's doing a good thing.
I believe,
and
I agree. Let me touch on that before you go further. I also believe that he is firmly cemented in his faith and believes in his faith. And I don't fault him for that.
Yes. Where
I've had an issue with him is it's that very over the top thinking and saying things that are kind of almost scary at times.
Yes,
you know
it's
what I mean?
little
that's
bit too
that's
much.
where I have an issue with it. But I'm also, as we've talked about Mel Gibson and everybody else that we've had issues with, I don't think it's fair to say that about one and not somebody else.
Correct.
I will watch anything Jim Caviezel's in.
I agree.
I just pick and choose how I support that. Right. This is one of those cases. I didn't want to fund a movie with my money without knowing the truth. There's no way to know the truth.
Yeah.
So I was excited to watch this movie because you don't get a lot of Jim Caviezel movies. But anyway, continue. I'm sorry.
And I was going to say, I know Mira Sorvino deeply cares about the subject. She's done the miniseries Human Trafficking. She did a movie, Trade of Innocence, where she was someone who went undercover, was trafficked. So I know she also cares deeply about the topic. That's why I wish she had more.
That's the only reason I can think she did this movie.
Correct.
Because she's wasted in this movie.
Because she's a huge advocate to stop human trafficking.
Like, I didn't even know she was in this movie, and they showed her 3 or 4 times.
And you're like, is that Mira Sorvino?
I kept looking because they keep
said something.
Well, I had walked. Like I went to let the dogs out. You now know who let the dogs out. It was me. I guess in her one line of the movie or whatever, because every other time they showed her from like the side or the angle or like in a montage.
We need a montage
kind of situation where it was all Caviezel and none of her.
And it's not, because I mean, she did this movie. I totally remember these movies she did, and
I'm not a big fan of her like you are.
Well, I am. That's all.
I like some of the early stuff.
So I wish she had more to do. And the movie itself is good.
It's a good movie. It's I think it's, as a movie as it stands, it's not as exciting as I guess I thought it was going to be, because even some of the escapes and some of the busts and the infiltration stuff seemed kind of toned down. But at the same time, it could have just be the way it was, and I don't want to bash it like I didn't get my Hollywood shootout in this movie. It just felt like especially the end stuff, it's this very big buildup of tension of how he's going to escape, how he's going to save these people, and how's he going to do such and such. And I felt like the escape was kind of like, oh, all right, well, he got up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's because my mind built up something that I wanted it to be. I wanted a shootout. I wanted some running, and you don't really get that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt the movie. The movie, I think, it's a good movie. I don't think it deserves the hype it got. But it got the hype because of what it is and how it was released.
Yeah. And it just unfortunately became a political statement instead of just being a good movie trying to make a difference.
I think had this movie been released, just straight release.
Yep.
And I saw the movie, I would have like, man, that's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I enjoyed this movie.
It really is.
But with all the stuff that compounds on top of it,
there was just so much weirdness happening.
And even watching it, I felt awkward watching it. Like, should I be watching this at times? Only because I'm like,
are we supporting some weird political thing?
Yeah, and it's like, and I don't want to think that because I don't connect my movies that way. And we didn't pay for anything and we didn't do anything. So, but I didn't feel the movie.
But I think that hurts it because we purposely said we will not buy a ticket because we think it's backed by some political thing.
And I don't know, and I don't want to be.
Now are we being like weird?
No. My thing wasn't that I thought it was backed by something. I've heard multiple stories and I don't know its history, and I don't want to give money to something I don't know what it is. But I want to watch it. I even had one of my seniors ask me, "Did you watch that movie Sound of Freedom?" I said, "No." I want my exact answer. I want to see it, but I will not pay for it. And so I wasn't sure if I'd ever get to see it because I saw some stuff start popping on my Facebook. When it started saying getting Blu-ray released, I immediately clicked on it to try to see where's it going to come out. And I'm like, I'm not buying this, but if somebody's going to give it to me to watch it, I'll review it. Honestly, I'll review it. I'll give it a fair shake.
And it was a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah,
I thought it was a good movie.
And
I do think Jim Caviezel's a little bit out there.
He is, but he's excellent in the movie.
I'm wondering too, honestly, this could be just way off base and this could be a personal statement. I really wonder, like him and Mel Gibson, all that, if doing the Jesus movie, like, threw them off. Because
I think Mel Gibson, part of it was alcohol, but
blame it on the alcohol.
He was drunk in some of the audio things, but I think he was already a little out there.
I'm
but
just
I think
telling you, if you
Caviezel, maybe I think it might have mentally.
I think because he said it completely affected and changed his life, and there's no way that you can play Jesus. I feel like he played it the most accurately we've seen. Yeah. That doesn't affect you on some sort of mental
there's
level.
Been talk about them doing a sequel to Passion of the Christ, which would be like it's the second half of the story, and with Mel Gibson supposedly trying to come back, and there's been talk, will Jim Caviezel come back?
I don't know.
And I would love for him to, because I would love to see him do it again. And I do
think it threw him a little.
I think it affected him, but not always in a positive way.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. But you know what? Okay, anyway.
This is also us discussing about without knowing the man, without hanging out with the man.
I did not know him.
Because after he did Passion of Christ, he did that Person of Interest show, and I thought he was outstanding. I watched the entire run of that show.
There you go.
But somewhere along the way, things
where can I watch this?
It is now on Prime Video.
There you go.
I assume maybe it's still playing in some theaters, but I don't know. But if you can, it's a good movie. If you can just watch it as the movie as it is, it's interesting. It's especially being a true story. There's been some other crazy stuff that's come out of behind the people that were involved in this now. But again, separate all that.
We don't know any of that.
It is a good movie.
And I like that it has some Spanish influence in your production team and the directors and all that, because a lot of it is in Spanish, and I appreciate that because we're actually going to the root of where these poor children are being stolen from.
I think it isn't.
That was the other thing. The story, that poor dad, where his kids.
I was so mad, but when you're in poverty
and
you see a chance to get people out of them. Yeah, I get it.
For your kid to do better.
I wasn't mad like the beginning of the movie when she's like, "Oh no, State's father's in the room," and I'm like, "Well, this is where things go horribly wrong." Like, I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, so. We would never live our kid.
I think this is a movie that's an important movie.
It is.
In its context of the story, not necessarily the history of how it was made. I think it's a good movie. I think had I seen this movie without any of the other story involved in it, I would still think it was a good movie. Do I think it's as great as everybody made it out to be? No. But that's not because of any kind of knock on the film. I just didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it stood out in a way that people talked about it.
But it is an important subject matter. Human trafficking is the biggest human rights issue at the moment. The numbers show that there are more people right now as slaves than there were during actual slavery.
Yeah.
So,
and I think this movie's
problem. And it said a lot of them are in the United States. Yeah. We're like not even paying attention.
I think this movie does handle a lot of the sensitive subject matter very well.
Very well.
It goes,
I still have the spoiler alert thing on. Sorry, there's no spoiler.
There's no spoiler. It goes right to the edge of some of the creepy stuff and some of the stuff you don't want to see.
And it handles it very well.
But it never shows anything that will put you off. It makes you feel uncomfortable, but it should.
It's so gross.
And so I think
that one weirdo that was uploading all the videos.
Can I also say the little girl is outstanding?
Yes. The main little girl.
Yeah, I have it on my thing over here. I can tell you what her name is. Her name is. Well, that's not it. I don't want that.
Crystal Aparicio.
Yes, I have it right here. She is so good. You don't get to see her a lot until the end, but when you do get to see her, she is so good with her emotions and stuff she brings to the table. Both kids are really good, but she has some really great emotional moments. I thought she was excellent. Amazing. Anyway, you can check out Sign to Freedom if you've been waiting like us, or if you loved it and want to watch it again. It's on Prime Video.
All right. Ooh, this one, The Ghost Station.
Totally different movie.
I really liked this movie.
Did you really?
Yes. This is such a mean movie.
I enjoyed it, but The Ghost Station, it's essentially...
It's a little bit of...
It's kind of a mashup of The Grudge and The Ring.
The Ring.
Even to the point where there's a moment where somebody says, this ghost has a grudge.
Yeah.
And then they show a well. So I don't know if those were nods to the genre.
Because this is a Korean film, so it's not the other one was Japanese.
I was trying to research to see if this might have been their remake, but I didn't see anything. But they were definitely paying nods to it, even if it was unintentionally.
But you know what I think too, in those parts of the world, you have your mythos and your mythologies, and these things really do happen there. I'm sure they happen here too.
So the premise of the movie is it's a young reporter lady.
Yes.
She's investigating an accident, but then she learns the police tell her that her source had already been dead at the time she did the interview.
What?
So they go back and they watch stuff. So now they're trying to figure out all these mysterious deaths that are happening in this train station.
And that was creepy when they go back and watch the security footage of her talking to the guy.
To nobody.
But then they see, like, when she actually sees, and all you see on the camera is his body doing, like,
yeah.
Because she was talking to a dead body.
She's talking over here, and the body's swinging.
The body's like swinging, hanging.
And they're looking at her like,
okay, that was creepy.
Okay, crazy.
This movie was creepy, and I loved it.
It was good. It's a little slow at times.
There's a creepy kid. When the guy, he goes and he sees the little girl, and he's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, dang."
Yeah, if you've seen The Grudge of the Ring, you know the creepy kid vibe. This one kind of has that. This is very much. I wouldn't be surprised if they said this movie took place in either of those universes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little slow at times.
It's a little bit.
But some of the big reveals and some of the big twists that they do at the end kind of bring it all back together. It starts off without wasting any time.
Yep.
With a decapitation.
I did that too as soon as it happened.
But it's good. It's if you like those kind of movies, there's not a lot you can tell you without spoiling anything.
Correct.
Right?
It's just and it's similar to The Ring, how the succession of the thing goes. Yeah. So
and the kids are more like the ones in The Grudge.
Yes.
So
but the curse is like The Ring.
Yeah.
So and it's a combo, but it's really good. And I like that it takes place in a train station, because those train stations, the undergrounds, are kind of creepy anyway.
But it has a great twist at the end that'll kind of make you smile and go, ha ha.
Yep, I loved it. It's just such a good movie. Can't tell you much.
Yeah, but we are giving away copies on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com. That's us.
The Go Station is available now on digital and Blu-ray and DVD.
Check it. Might check one too.
I don't know why I said digital and DVD, but it's on Blu-ray as well.
All right.
This one's all you, sister.
All right. This is the new movie Priscilla, written and directed by Sofia Coppola.
Is that your name, Priscilla?
Yes, Sofia Coppola's movie. Based on the book by Priscilla Presley, and she was an executive producer, and she was around during the making of the film. So I'm going to say she kind of was there, authorized it. This is based on her, starring Kaylee Spaney and Jacob Elordi. I want to do
Jacob's in an orgy.
I want to shout out that Kaylee Spaney, she did such an amazing job in this, because she has to play Priscilla from like age 14, 15 all the way to grown woman age with a baby, and she does it amazingly. Here's what you need to know. Elvis was a little bit of a creeper. Essentially, he had people out there bringing girls to him, which he didn't need, right? I mean, there were people throwing themselves at him, but he was looking for, I guess, a nice girlfriend. And I'm telling you, she was like 14, 15 when this is happening. And I am shocked. I'm always shocked by this when the parents are like, "Oh, I don't think you should go." But then I guess Elvis calls the house, and you're like, "Okay, well, make sure she's home by 10." Like, what?
I mean, to be
fair, you're
gonna
let your teenage daughter go?
To be fair, she was a child. So
she was. No, but I mean,
Elvis was a creeper.
He was. That's what I'm telling you. He was a little bit of a creeper. This is kind of reminding me of that story. What was that guy? The Netflix show? They did like a 3-part where he would, with the girls, and promised them record deals, but he was just holding them prisoners in hotel rooms. What was that guy? The guy that TT'd on the girl. What was that thing on Netflix? It doesn't matter. It's the rapper guy. Same thing.
R. Kelly.
I
knew what you were asking me. I was processing.
This kind of gave me...
It's sad that the thing that got it was the peeing on the girl.
I know. I'm sorry. It's gross.
And I don't know what's grosser. The fact that he does that, that you said TT'd on the girl.
Well, because we're on live TV.
But you could have said peed. You're like, she says TT or I got to go potty. It's like I live with a
We have a granddaughter.
She doesn't live here, and she ain't here now.
Doesn't matter. But I mean, this was the thing. I think people, they get so like starstruck or whatever. Like Elvis and his dad came to their house to say, "Hey, can Priscilla come visit us in Memphis?" And the parents were like, oh, I don't know. And then she pouts and cries about it, and they let her go. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not letting my teenage daughter go.
It's the Michael Jackson concept.
It is.
It's
the
that same thing.
Vibe. People get just lured in. So anyway, she gets there, and immediately he's putting her on the uppers and downers. This will help you sleep. This will help you wake up. And
that's how I got you.
And the maid lady was there, and she's like, you can't be giving this girl these pills, because he was taking like 500 milligrams of these things, and he's giving her, and she's never taken anything before. She was knocked out for 3 days. I mean, it's crazy. And then, you know, he was very controlling and manipulative, and he'd shove her around a little bit.
So let me ask you this, because you're a huge Elvis fan.
I am.
So is any of this stuff between the Elvis movie, the stuff you hear from this, some of the documentary stuff you hear, has any of this wavered your thoughts and feelings on Elvis?
I think as a human, yeah. I feel more than anything.
Because you didn't take much to turn on Mark Wahlberg. So Mark Wahlberg hasn't done any of this bad stuff.
No, I know. I am going to say yes in a way, although I think a lot of his issues where he was also being manipulated as well. I don't think he was even in control of his own life. Colonel Tom Parker was in control, and all of the doctors that they hired had him.
There was also a weird, uncomfortable relationship with his mother, too.
Correct. And so, anyways, he was controlling. He was manipulative. He changed the way she dressed. He changed her hair. He changed her makeup. Like, he changed everything about her to suit what he wanted.
Yeah.
But then he was out philandering with all these other women, but she was expected to stay home and take care of the baby.
Sounds
and
like
don't
our
say
relationship.
anything.
How you do me. She's constantly trying to make me change, picking at my eyebrows, and she's out in the world.
But it was weird because, like, she would want to have an intimate relationship with him as a wife, and he's like, oh, no, you need to remain pure. And I'm like, what the hell? It's your wife, dude. It's weird. It was so weird.
That's what I do.
It's just weird. And I think honestly, it was the mind trip that it made him feel good that he had a nice little, lovely little lady at home, because that made him feel good.
Yeah.
And then he could do whatever he wanted, but that justified who he was to be a good person. It's crazy. I agree. I do kind of feel like about him.
I've always thought, my thing is, I think Elvis's music is trash. But
I agree. He stole music. He stole.
No, I'm not even. I don't agree necessarily with the stole music mentality, because I do think that he had a good place of, he respected the black music and was trying to honor it.
But this was just.
But I think he was majorly overrated, and I think the only reason he had the success he had is because he came out at the time he had, because he was shocking. Yeah. He was different.
Agreed.
Had somebody like an Elvis come out today, everybody would have ignored him.
Well, and I think too, I agree at a point. He was trying to bring that type of music forward, because the actual black performers that were doing the music, there's no way they would have gotten this far, because everybody was so prejudiced and racist at that time.
I used to be one of the proponents of he just stole black music, and the more
I think he was trying
the more stories I've read and the more things I've heard,
he really cared
in interviews, I do believe that he was trying to shine a spotlight on music that he loved and he thought he deserved to be heard. And I don't know if he always did it the right way, because obviously with the Tom Parker crap, I do think he was manipulated and used by that crazy person.
He was.
But I think he's also had a lot of mental issues, and his weird, uncomfortable relationship with his mom.
His mom, through the death of his mother, I think threw him over the edge even more.
Yeah.
That he was taken advantage of. Obviously, the doctors were paid for by Tom Parker, and they kept him up and down and all around. And but I don't think he even knew. But
he did. Whatever. He did Kempo karate with Ed Parker, and he had a cape with his gi. So
he does one karate move in this movie.
Does he?
He does like a.
That's the only karate move I ever saw him do.
Now, if you want to see a good Elvis show, is that cartoon on?
It got canceled. Agent Elvis.
That was fun.
That show was awesome.
And Priscilla was involved in that.
She was. That show was excellent.
Priscilla was making money everywhere. Anyways, check it out if you're interested at all in Elvis and or Priscilla. But at the end of the day, the movie itself is just meh.
Yeah, you might still be able to find it in theaters somewhere.
It's on the line, I think. Maybe.
Is it? I don't know if it's on digital stuff yet. I think it was still.
No, you had a
consideration copy.
My bad.
For season.
It's okay.
Anyway,
at the end of the day,
if you can find it, if you like that stuff, check it out. If you don't, then don't watch it.
All right, one more.
We have more Nicolas Cage.
Another Nicolas Cage movie. This one, we paid for this because I'm like, this has got to be good.
I've been wanting to see this movie, and I didn't realize.
With the two of them?
Yeah, which I knew about it, but I had a different, I think I even told you, a different storyline of what I thought it was.
Oh, I didn't know anything about this movie.
I don't know if it was because I read the title and knowing Nicolas Cage is
very
much like that.
Yes.
Remember, I told you, I said, I think he's supposed to be some sort of a demon or something.
Yeah.
That is nothing like this movie is about. This movie is Sympathy of the Devil. Sympathy for the Devil. It stars, obviously, Nicolas Cage and Joel Kinnaman. Joel Kinnaman recently, with his movie Silent Night, which we both enjoyed. Or did you not like it?
I did like it. And, you know, he's also from that show we used to watch. The Killings.
The Killing, yeah. And he also played RoboCop.
And I think I know that he can go over the edge as much as Nicolas Cage. I was like, this is going to be crazy.
And both of them, fun fact, have both worked with John Woo.
Oh.
Nicolas Cage was in Face Off.
Yes.
And Joel Kinnaman was in Silent Night.
Oh.
Both John Woo.
There you go. Okay.
So the premise of the movie is...
trying to fix Chewbacca.
It's a very simple story. And 90% of the movie is just them.
Yeah, it's
anybody else in the movie are just like extras.
Yes.
But it basically follows this man who he's trying to get to his wife who's in labor.
Yes.
And suddenly some random guy gets in his car, pulls a gun on him, and it becomes, hey, you're taking me somewhere.
Yeah.
And so you feel like he's just been carjacked.
Yeah.
But then it starts to seem like, wait, but this guy might know him.
This guy's saying stuff that makes it think like he's implying that this other guy is somebody he knows and he's out for revenge.
But the other guy's like, I don't know what you were talking about.
I don't know who you are. Yeah.
So, and then it turns into this chaotic road trip, essentially, of Nicolas Cage being the best Nicolas Cage he can be.
And the hair is crazy.
Yeah, and I read an article that said that was not written, that was not part of it. They said he just showed up to set and said, this is what I think this guy would look like.
Like red hair.
And he had his red hair, and they're like, let's go with it.
Let's just do it.
Joel Kinnaman has worked with this director, Yuval Adler, before in this movie called Secrets We Keep. So this is their second time to team up. But
I love Nicolas Cage.
This movie is really good.
It is a really good
He's been on a roll lately, and I've written it in the last few reviews that... between like Pig and Renfield and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, obviously Butcher's Crossing we talked about, Willy's Wonderland, Mandy. He's like, he's back to this tier that I feel like he's taking gigs that he wants.
Yes.
For the longest time.
His taxes are now finally paid off. So
yeah, the longest time, the reason Nicolas Cage was turning out so many movies is because he was paying taxes.
He had to pay his taxes.
And he announced they're paid off, and now I've seen almost the quality of his films have gone up.
Yeah.
And this one's probably one of the simpler that he's done because it's literally just these two guys
in a car.
But it is fantastic.
It is really good.
And a lot of it, Joel Kinnaman plays a very subtle, straight man, if you will, to Nicolas Cage's ball of chaos. And it's banter and the stuff he says, and it's the little nuances like making from. There's a scene where he says something like, if you're gonna do such and such, and then he kind of goes, it's like these little things that just work.
It was fun. I just love him. I'm always and he dances and he sings. Heck yeah.
When he sings and he gets the crazy eyes when he sings.
A little shimmy, and I was like, this makes me want to shimmy. I just love him. I love anything he does. It is a really good flick.
I enjoyed this movie so much that I almost added it to my top 10.
What?
Because I really, it's not that the movie is so outstanding in itself, is that not only are they really great together, but Nicolas Cage is just so Nicolas Cage in this movie, and he seems to be having a blast, and he seems to not care.
What's cool about it literally is just two guys in a car for most of it, and so they really have to just work in it together, and it does, and it stays. Like Ted's, it's like high alert the whole time, and you're right. He'll do stuff, and he's like, and he does these things that are just like, oh my gosh, crazy,
there's a whole thing where
funny.
There's this whole thing where he's questioning with a rabbit's foot, and he just keeps going, tick, 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 and every time he starts talking, he's like, tick, tick, and it's like, you've seen Nicolas Cage do this stuff so many times that he's become a master of it.
It doesn't get old.
And you believe that he's unhinged.
The best thing is about a 10-minute dialogue about a patty melt.
Yes.
A tuna melt. No, a tuna melt. Was it a tuna melt?
It was a tuna melt.
Tuna melt and about which
he's
like, who puts mozzarella on a tuna melt? I want cheddar. And then she's like, no substitutions. He's like, I want cheddar.
My favorite, though, is he goes, he's really serious about that no substitutions, isn't he? Because he's like the owner, and the owner is the chef. And he's like, really? And then, the lady says something like, what if I just cut you off a slab of cheddar and slide it under the table? And it circles back later on. He's like, were you serious about that? Like trying to be nice, or were you just being a jerk?
Yeah.
And she's like, I was being a dick. And he's like,
Yeah.
And you're just like, and all that. Did you catch that the way it's shot too? That when the tuna melt is there, it gets spilled.
Yeah.
That it kind of comes relates all the way back to him stepping on the tuna melt, which is also in conjunction with what is now happening in the story.
Yeah.
There's so many little things that just.
It's a very smart movie. It really is.
It is, and it's just a chance to watch these two guys go crazy.
And then at the end, do you think the wife knows? Because there's one. We can't tell you what happens between the two, but the wife is like, I know you're okay.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay.
I thought that too. It made me wonder.
Does she know what's
that? Maybe she knows.
She doesn't know what's happening, but she knows.
Maybe she knows more about his past than you think. And we're not even gonna tell you whose wife we're talking about, because there are two wives in this movie.
Yeah, they're both talking about their wives and their kids. You got to pay attention.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But
I just like
this movie kind of reminded me of that Mercy Road movie.
Oh, but the dad trying to save the daughter.
Somebody else there now.
Yes.
And
because he's trying to get to his wife, and Nicolas Cage is talking about his wife too, and the mom,
and trying to get somewhere, and you don't know where he's going.
Okay, so is he going to the mom or the wife or who? And
and there's a great whole sequence too where he was like, he's all dressed in his suit, and he's
like, I thought I'd get dressed up for the occasion.
He goes, I was dressed up for 100% sex today, and the guy had broken his nose. He goes, but you messed up my nose, now I'm only 50% sex. It's such a great movie, man.
Really
it's like
is.
It's a simple.
That was worth my $5.
It was. It's a simple movie that it's excellent.
Buy it online. It's on demand.
If you like either one of these guys, then you're a good person.
Yes.
So you can check out Sympathy for the Devil is available now on digital for like $5 that we paid for it. I believe it's also on 4K and Blu-ray and all
Go support Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for me over here.
All right.
What have you
got? So before we do that, we got to talk about our top 10s of the year. There's not really a lot coming out this week, so I'm just going to skip it. It's all re-releases.
Are you going 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4?
I'm not doing any particular order. But in all the Blu-ray releases and stuff this week, it's all just old school stuff that's getting re-released.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to bother with it. We'll move on from that.
All right.
I'm not wasting any more time. What I do have though, one or two things.
Okay.
I have a little bit of a fairly large list that I can swish through real fast.
Okay.
These are movies that are going to be coming out this year.
Oh.
If you'd like to hear about some of them.
Yes. Give me your, what was that guy that gave the speech for the universe of what's going to happen, and you memorized it like that?
Oh, James Gunn.
Yeah, give me your James Gunn speech.
This is really just going to be, I'm just going to tell you the movies are coming out. And most of them I started giving up later on, but I wrote kind of where they're going to be at. But really quick, and this is kind of the order they're coming out to. I'm not going to tell you the exact months, but that's kind of the order.
We'll look forward to
So Society of the Snow is one of them. It's already on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Go watch it.
The Beekeeper, which is the new Jason Statham movie. It comes out next week.
So excited.
Very excited for that. The Underdogs, which is a new football movie with Snoop Dogg.
Oh, yes.
It comes on Prime. I believe it's in the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited.
So then we got in the movie Argyle, which is the new one with Henry Cavill. And it's from the same people that made Kingsman.
Yep.
Madam Web, which is an interesting direction for those. It could be total trash. I'm not talking about ones I think are excellent because we don't know yet.
We don't know.
One I'm actually looking forward to way more than I thought I was going to be was the Bob Marley One Love movie.
Yeah.
Just because I love movies about real life stories of people. I know this one's going to be a big one, even though we don't care that much, but I am interested to see it. Dune Part 2. Because I've heard this one's going to be more the action-packed version, so it maybe end up being one that the two together make the better movie.
Correct.
There's a movie called Spaceman coming to Netflix starring Adam Sandler.
Oh, okay.
It's a science fiction type thing.
Okay.
Imaginary, which I'm looking forward to. It's the one about the little teddy bear.
Yes.
It's a horror flick.
Creepy.
Of course, Kung Fu Panda 4.
I'm excited.
Coming to Prime, a movie that did not need a remake or reimagining, but I'm excited for it because it's Jake Gyllenhaal, which is Roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
Where he's an MMA fighter this time around.
Okay.
Movie I can't wait to hear what more of the controversy that comes along with it. The American Society of Magical Negroes.
That looks so fun.
It does, and it's already getting bashed by a lot of black people.
Why?
I think it's either a matter of they're not really getting the joke or they don't get the joke. I don't know.
I thought it was
but I can't wait to see it, to see if it actually does embrace the joke that it's trying to give you, and if people embrace it or if they all just totally go against it. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Ghostbusters.
I love Ghostbusters. Godzilla X Kong New Empire, which is part of the new MonsterVerse series. Rebel Moon 2 Scargiver, which is the second half.
Well, now I got to know what happens.
Yeah, the second half of the Rebel Moon stuff. Civil War, which is the one that's the movie about the United States going to get civil war with each other. I showed you the trailer. So it's actually like Texas going against a bunch of other people. Whatever.
That looks crazy.
We got Deadpool 3 coming out this year. That we got finally get Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman together. The Fall Guy, which I'm excited for because
is that like the TV show? The old
yeah,
TV
it's
show?
got Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
We used to watch Fall Guy.
Did you not see the trailer? I thought I showed you the trailer.
Maybe
the
you
Fall
did.
Guy, where he's the stuntman, right?
Yeah.
And she's like the director or whatever.
I got you. Yes.
There's a movie coming out called If, which is an imaginary friend. And it's a movie that's written and directed by John Krasinski.
Yep.
It's got Ryan Reynolds. It's kind of a kids comedy fantasy film.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because all Planet of the Apes things are awesome. The Garfield movie.
Yes.
I'm super excited for it. It's an animated film for anybody worried about the original Garfields. It is an animated feature, but it shows like baby Garfield growing up. I love all things Garfield.
Yes, you do.
Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which
that
is
looks
a prequel.
good.
Ballerina, which I'm very excited for.
What is that?
Ballerina is Anna de Armas, and it is a spin-off movie from the John Wick universe.
Oh, so the girl with the that we saw.
Yeah, I don't know.
Think it's her?
Well, I don't. No. I think this is going to be a separate thing, but I think it's a character coming out of that. And from my understanding, Keanu Reeves, the guy that runs the Continental, and the black guy that passed away, I believe, are all in the movie. They have cameos.
Well, what's her name be in it?
Angelica Houston.
Yes,
I don't know because I don't know what time period it takes place.
She runs that house.
So we also got another entry, A Quiet Place Day 1, which is like the first day the quiet stuff started hitting.
Okay, that might be interesting.
We got Inside Out 2.
Oh, fun.
Yes, which I think they add anxiety to the mix. We got Bad Boys 4.
Bad Boys. Which
will be interesting to see how that movie does with all the controversy.
Are we over with Will Smith now?
I'm not. It's another case of like I don't like what he did, but it is what it is. This one is kind of interesting, and it's called Horizon American Saga, Part 1 and 2. Okay. And this is a new Western that is starring and I believe directed by Kevin Costner.
Oh, okay.
We got Despicable Me 4. We got Venom 3.
Okay.
We got a sequel nobody knew they needed or wanted or was even going to get called Twisters. Sequel to Twister, the tornado movie with Bill Paxton.
What?
Yep.
That was like 20 years ago.
Yep. Now we got a sequel called Twisters with now Bill Paxton because he's dead.
Wow.
As far as I know, this is still coming out. Captain America: Brave New World.
That was in 1996.
Captain America: Brave New World, which is the first movie with Anthony Mackie in the role of Captain America.
Oh, okay. I'm excited.
Now that he's Captain America.
I'm excited.
Alien Romulus, which is a new Alien movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yes. Kraven the Hunter is finally getting released. It was supposed to come out last year, but
who's Kraven?
Who's the actor or the character?
Actor.
The actor is Aaron.
Somebody.
The guy that played Kick-Ass.
Oh, okay. That kid. Yeah.
Beetlejuice 2.
Beetlejuice.
Is coming out with Michael Keaton and what's her name?
She's gonna look exactly the same.
Yeah, forget.
Battery. I need to plug in.
All right, we're almost done. Transformers 1, which is an animated Transformers feature.
We're not almost done because we got to talk about the
top 10.
Yeah.
Do you have a way to plug it in?
Let me go. I got to get a plug.
Oh, I got 2 more. Hold on. Saw 11.
Okay.
And the last I have on the list, there's probably a lot more, is Joker 2, which is, it's called Joker Folie à Deux, something like that. Also stars Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
Isn't it like a kind of a musical?
Yes, but I'm assuming it's going to play into their insanity.
Okay, hold on.
So I guess while you're doing that, I'm going to sit here and be uncomfortable. Hi, everyone. I'm just sitting here uncomfortable. But I don't know where she's going and where she's going to get a cord. Because I don't have an available cord for her to get anywhere.
I have to get a plug.
I don't know what she's doing.
I'm getting a plug.
I'm just sitting here talking, kids.
We got to see how this is going to work. Because this is a different plug.
So next up on our agenda, while she's doing that, we're going to talk about our top 10 movies of the year before we wrap this thing up. And of course, we still have some contests as well. I have a couple of new ones coming up, but if you haven't, one of the contests is not listed that I'll go ahead and tell you about is I'm going to post it. I may not post on the actual site. I'm going to probably post it on our Facebook pages and our Twitter pages. I'm going to, give away a digital James Cameron collection.
Okay.
Which will feature Avatar 1 and 2, The Abyss, True Lies, and what is the other one? Aliens. I'll give you codes for all 5 of those for digitally use on Movies Anywhere. And so one person can. I've had individual contests, but one person will be able to get them all. And once that last set is done, I will be out of digital codes. So if you still see the things up and or active,
did you want to put up the contest?
We can, and or active. Those digital codes are still available, but I can tell you now they are fixing to not be. So, do you want to do the contest first? Or
let's just do the contest real quick because that's most.
All right. So we have the Go Station that we talked about, as well as digital copy of True Lies. It's a 4K digital copy.
Okay.
We have copies of the Flying Swordsman, which I'll talk about next week, as well as Aliens. And then, of course, we have The Abyss and Avatar. Now, when you look at the Avatar one, when you win Avatar, you actually get both Avatar 1 and 2. That was only updated to that image because I added The Abyss. So
there you go.
That's what we got. So, like I said, there will be a James Cameron collection winning that I will post, probably not on the site itself, but probably post it like an individual post on our Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that stuff.
All those things.
Okay, let's quickly run through our top 10, sister.
All right.
So this is what my list looked like at first. So I had all these. These are all movies that I chose as. So unlike this one, as the year goes on, if I come home and I love a movie, I write it down on my list.
I need to start doing that.
I start it in January, and then inevitably I miss certain things, but then I go back and I make my final 10
list.
So here is my final 10.
I started with 30 something and I still have 18. But I'm just going to give you my top 10s.
All right.
You want to go?
You want to go back and forth one on one?
Sure.
All right.
I have slides.
She did this to me last time where she prepared slides but didn't prepare me any slides. No slides for you today. We're not going to do slides. We're just going to talk about it. So let's go.
Well, I only have them on the slide, so I can't tell you what they are.
Well, you pick them up, tell them what you got.
All right. So I am going to pick Society of the Snow.
Okay. Obviously, I can't pick that one because I haven't seen it.
It is based on the true story. I do have to show this one slide because I do know the person. I know the person.
You're just trying to show the slide so you can brag?
I'm going to brag. I know one of the survivors, the guy
that looks like a breakup photo. Like y'all are together and you cut everybody else out and he's like holding you hostage.
I think it's a great movie. It's already number 2 on Netflix. It just dropped this week, so it's doing really well and it's already nominated for things. So check it out.
My first one is going to be like in my list this year, just so you know, is very eclectic.
Okay.
I put some stuff on that is nobody's talking about.
Okay.
On some of it. But my first one is everybody talked about would be Godzilla -1.
I have that also.
Nice.
I mean, I was like, should I pick a Godzilla movie in my top 10?
Hey, when I pick my top 10, it's not about box office. It's not about awards. It's about what movie I loved.
It's like, is that weird? But maybe it's not. Who knows? Okay, I'm closing some things down.
What else you got?
So I can see. Hold on. I can't I only have it slides.
Throw your slide up if you want.
No, I already closed the slides out.
Okay, well, hurry up then, sister.
My next one is Cocaine Bear.
It was, in fact, on my original list up here.
That is ridiculous of me to pick Cocaine Bear.
No, it's not. If you like it.
You guys, it was a good movie. It didn't deserve to be a good movie, and it was. It's a fun
movie. As I told you, Cocaine Bear was the third movie I wrote down of this last year. My next one is probably my favorite movie. Well, it's in the top 3 of the year for me, which is The Holdovers.
Oh,
I really do love that movie.
Okay, I give it to you.
And it's going to be one of those that when you finally watch it, you're going to be like, really? It's a good movie. I have that feeling about you.
But, yeah, I think too. I think we get things, we're so hyped about it, and then the other one of us is like,
I've stopped trying to hype you up and be like, honey, I really like this. You should watch it. And then the way I hype it now, I'll keep going, do you want to watch this? Do you watch this? And then you never want to watch it. I'm like,
you're like, dang it.
Anyway,
why not?
What else you got?
My next one I picked was Past Lives. It's a Korean film. Is it Korean? I believe it is. And it's just about that thing, like, what if you had married this person instead of this person? And it's just such an emotional movie. I kept thinking about it way after. And at the one point where the guy's like, I actually like your husband. That makes me mad. I mean, it's just one of those. It stuck with me.
It is one of those movies that I didn't think I cared about.
Yeah.
And when we saw it, I was like, this movie is really good. But it did not make my list. My next one is probably one of the other ones that is top of my list this year was Poor Things.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Only because, again, I'm a fan of Yorgos, like The Lobster is one of my favorite movies that year that came out. The Killing of the Sacred Deer. But the movie's just so weird and has no business working. And it's such a good movie.
But it worked, right?
Yeah.
I picked Boston Strangler, which is bizarre.
What was that?
That's the one
see that?
We did see that.
Was that a movie or was that a?
It was a movie. What do you mean? Did we see that?
I don't remember.
We totally talked about it. So
I don't think I watched that movie.
Yes, you did. It was Keira Knightley. And
she's doing the reporter thing. Yeah, I thought it was
following the story of the Boston. Really?
I think so. I don't think I really liked it that much.
But I actually liked it because it tells the story of the first time a female reporter gets the byline and she's following a major serial killer. I thought it was just amazing.
Keira Knightley just annoys me though.
I know.
This next one is another one that's kind of off the rails. With Sisu.
That is like my number 11.
Is it?
It's down here.
It made its way into my top.
It's a foreign language film. Get over it.
I think it is Denmark or
Sweden. It is amazing.
It's so violent. It's about a miner who's fighting Nazis. That's all it is.
That's why it's great, and I had it on my list too.
Nice.
My next one I picked was They Cloned Tyrone.
That's a good movie.
It is such a good movie. It was a Netflix movie. It's what's his name from
Jamie Foxx and John Boyega.
From most people know probably from Star Wars, but
from Attack the Block.
It is such an amazing portrayal of how marginalized, but also how kept in poverty in purpose communities of color are kept, and it's all about how the man in society is making it that way, and it's a fabulous movie.
It is.
You should watch it.
My next one was The Iron Claw. I was hyped up to watch the movie, and it did not disappoint.
Yeah.
Despite having some issues, it's not some of the, but I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
For Hollywood, but I did love that movie.
I picked.
I'm surprised it didn't get any love in the Golden Globes.
Right?
I was really bummed about that.
Okay, I picked one unexpected. I picked an alien movie. No One Will Save You.
Is it that one? You just told me the name, but isn't that the one with the chick from
Yes, Last Man Standing?
That movie was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Because it's really just her. Yeah. There's very little dialogue. There isn't any maybe. I don't think anybody really even talks. A little bit,
but yeah, very rarely.
But I mean, it's such a good alien flick. And that you don't get a lot of horror alien flicks anymore unless it's like Aliens or something. But this was such a great movie. And it was on Hulu, right?
Yes.
So it's crazy.
My other one that you won't watch is I would have never expected this made it, but the more I thought about it, was Wonka made onto my top list. It was so good. Wow. And again, because it's one that I didn't think was going to be as good as it was. You. And like I said, because it has the vibe of Harry Potter and Paddington and Willy Wonka all wrapped into a movie that we didn't need.
Yeah.
And it still works and it's entertaining and I would not mind watching it again. I just love the movie.
I picked The Machine.
That was on my list of stuff.
I mean, a crazy out there comedy, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
It is, and it's one that didn't get enough love, I think. And it's funny because you didn't even know the story about it until I told you later.
No.
And so but it was, as you see, it was on my list originally.
Great movie.
This next one is an left field movie.
Okay.
This is not on anybody's radar, I don't think. It was this movie called Champions, which is the one with Woody Harrelson. Do you have it on there?
I have it on there.
Woody Harrelson, and he's the basketball coach for a special needs team that I thought was hilarious.
Yes, it needs some love, and people need to go watch it. I think it's a great performance from him. It didn't make my top 10, but it's on my list. It was on
it's the secondary.
It's on my short list.
All right, what else you got?
I picked Blue Beetle. Just because
it was in my list, some of them, there it is.
The and jokes and a lot of the shows and the things they say, it's so specific to my culture, and I was just glad to see this kid do it. And I knew nothing about Blue Beetle, or you had to fill me in, but I really enjoyed it.
Nice. My next one was actually an animated film, but it's an anime film that I'm pretty sure nobody saw. It was a movie called, and it was because it was so weird but it was so deep. This is a movie called Unicorn Wars, which is the one about.
I remember where they were killing.
Yeah, it's very violent, but it's cute.
It's hyper violent and cute.
It's like little cats, wasn't it? Weren't they little cats that were fighting against the unicorns?
The evil unicorns.
Yeah, it's just one of those animated. I think it was a Spanish movie.
Yeah.
That was translated, but it's just.
It is actually really.
It was those unexpected movies that we sat down with. We'll watch it, whatever. And then we're like, this movie is a deep metaphor about war and everything else,
and how it's us against them, but you don't even take the time to know them.
And every character in the movie is like super cute, but it's hyper violent.
I think they were little teddy bears.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was a little bit of that. What's that fat body?
Yeah,
where they treat that one guy, and of course he's gonna go crazy.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yes.
I enjoyed that flick.
My last one, John Wick.
Last one. I still got 2 more.
Oh, okay. Godzilla.
Oh, because you already had
Godzilla.
Yeah.
My number 1 movie was John Wick Chapter 4.
Was it?
Yes.
My John Wick is on here, I believe.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, it's on here, but it didn't make the list only because I expected it to be that good.
It's
and so I love the movie. Don't get me wrong, but I also, when I make my top 10 list, I'm trying to look for stuff that either I didn't expect to love it as much as I did.
That's what I did.
Or that it stands out in a way that I didn't expect.
Yep.
One of my next ones is Renfield.
Ah, yes.
Because again, love Nicolas Cage. I really thought I'd followed that movie from the moment they announced that Nicolas Cage was playing Dracula.
I mean,
that I'm like, this movie is going to be trash, but I can't wait to see Nicolas Cage as Dracula. And then seeing the movie, I'm like, oh my God, this movie is fantastic.
It was fantastic.
My last film surprisingly didn't get nominated for anything either, and it's one that I was looking forward to see, but I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, was Napoleon.
Oh, this is Napoleon.
Yeah, it's such a great movie.
I'm not a Joaquin Phoenix fan.
No, you don't have to be, and that's fine.
But he does good things.
But he's a brilliant actor. He's just a weird dude.
He's weird.
But it was just one of those movies that I expected to watch and be like, this is a good movie, but I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah.
So.
There you go.
What are some of your...
My other things? I picked things too.
Hold on, I got an argument with something you got on this list.
Know.
Hold on. Me and you about to fight now because we've been fighting about this movie all year.
Unexpected things. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, because I know nothing about the Spider-Verse and all these. It's
on my list, but
I was so felt like impactful. It was impactful to me to see the different Spider-Mans. The Indian Spider-Man, like from India, the different, like native, cowboy, whatever, everyone is equally representative in the Spider-Verse. And that to me was just like.
I know the Indian Spider-Man has a comic now.
Oh, really? Yeah. It was emotional to me.
If you'd like to read it, I can pick it up or something.
Knock at the Cabin. Because I did not expect to like it.
You didn't like it. You told me numerous times you didn't like it.
But you know what? But that's why it deserves to be on here, because it was impactful to me. I think that
we argued about how good it was, and you were like, "No, you're wrong." And now it's on your list. It's not even on my list.
Look,
and I like that movie.
I think the way they ended, I think their interpretation is incorrect based on my biblical studies. However,
it's not about your biblical studies; it's about the novel.
But the movie itself was impactful. Again, it was impactful to me, so it deserves to be on the list.
This is what I live with: dirty lies.
What else you get?
What else you got?
Sisu, which you also picked. This, I'm glad you made me watch this.
This was an argument about this because I went and saw the screen by myself. You had to work.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I have no interest in watching this. I didn't have any interest in watching this. I came out, I'm like, my wife is gonna love this movie.
I was crying.
And I kept telling you need to watch it. You're like, and we ended up watching it in Hawaii.
I loved it.
Maybe that's why you liked it, because you're in Hawaii. It. Well, what is it again?
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
It is also on my list here.
Awesome. I did pick Renfield as well, and Champions. I picked the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem because, again, I'm not a Ninja Turtle fan, but the movie was like so emotional and it drags you in, and the animation's weird, but I liked it, and I didn't expect that. And then I picked the movie Fool's Paradise.
That's surprising but that's a clever movie.
It's so, because he doesn't talk through, what's the guy's name? He doesn't talk through the whole thing.
It's like almost like a silent film, but it's not a silent film.
It's such a look, I think, at how the idea of fame works. It's not even real, and you're just, it's crazy.
Mine kind of the same vibes. A lot of those were on here, but I had White Noise listed on here, which is that movie with Adam Driver. Yeah. And it just, because I thought it went so many different places. It was crazy.
He's good.
Of course, I had Cocaine Bear as well. I had Ninja Turtles. I put Saw X on here, but that's also because I love Saw and I really love that chapter. She's wrong.
That movie.
When we talk next year, Saw X will be on her list.
It's not as good as the others.
I disagree. I think it's better than a lot of the other ones.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch all of them.
But it's too late. I actually put Evil Dead Rise on here only because I didn't expect that Evil Dead Rise to be as good as it was. And loving Evil Dead franchise. I put Guardians 3 on here because, again, I didn't think the third movie was going to work as much as it did. But I also tend to not put genre movies on them as much because it's too obvious because I'm a comic fan. Of course, I loved it,
Yeah.
A Disturbance in the Forest documentary made my list because I loved it so much.
It was fun. I learned a lot. I didn't know anything about that.
The movie Asteroid City made my list because it's such a...
I had it originally and I was like, ooh.
That's one of those movies that I don't think got enough love. It's just so weird and out there and clever.
I agree.
Beau is Afraid did make my list.
I had that originally too. He's
so did Blue Beetle.
Weird.
Let's see. Rebel Moon was on my list at first. Air, I thought was a great movie.
Air was a great movie. It really was.
Of course, I said The Machines. The other one that was kind of out there that I didn't think I was going to like as much, and then the more I sat with it, I ended up adding later was Warhorse 1. Which
that was
that soldier and the little girl.
He's so good in that movie.
So,
yes, it was a great movie.
And he directed the movie too.
So
anyway, those are our list. I know that may not. Some people were like, "What kind of top 10 is that?" It's what movies we like. So get over yourself.
And I like that it was like alien, cocaine bear, drama, comic book. It's all over. But that's what I love about movies. You get a little bit of everything.
You know, I have a very distinct. We've been accused of never disliking anything. But there's stuff we dislike. But I also have this thing that I love movies and stuff so much that even movies I hate, I find things I like. And being someone who's worked on TV shows and movies, I also appreciate the effort that goes into making some of these things. And
I can tell you a movie I don't like that everybody's liking right now, Saltburn. I do not like it. It's gross.
Saltburn is a brilliant film, but it is very disturbing.
But that guy deserves to be nominated. Yes, the main character.
The movie is disturbing. I agree with you. I
don't like it.
But it's fantastic.
People are loving it, but he deserves, because he did a great job. He went all in. That scene in the graveyard was completely improvised. He just went for it.
Well, and I feel the same way about Barbie.
I feel like it.
I didn't dislike it. I just think this is a very overhyped movie that shouldn't have worked. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'd said it from day one when they showed the first trailer. This movie's either going to work or it's going to be a train wreck. I think it worked. I think it was fun, but I don't think it was anything.
I could tell you other things
outstanding. But they also have nominated Babe for Academy Award, so that tells me nobody cares.
But like Priscilla's kind of boring. Oppenheimer was okay. I thought it was overhyped for me.
Yeah.
That Maestro movie's fine, and then it's forgettable. I mean, so there's stuff we don't get paid to lie.
The thing with Oppenheimer though is, which I knew you wouldn't connect as much, because you're also not big on
the history of all that.
A lot of movies that follow real life.
Correct.
Only because then they get dragged on, and you're like, unless it's some like woohoo kind of punch you in the face story, like that is a very slow build story.
It's a talkie.
You know. Lord. Because I think you probably felt similar to that about Killers of the Flower Moon, as you enjoyed the movie. Oh my gosh,
it was so long.
But see, and I didn't feel it was long.
But I loved more is her, Lily.
Yeah.
She's the best thing about that movie. And I saw an interview with her and Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's like, I was only good because she's amazing.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I was just trying to make sure I'm accurately representing an entire nation of Native Americans and making sure I'm doing it appropriately. She goes, it was actually very stressful to her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved her. The movie itself is too long.
I didn't think it was too long. I love the movie.
I'm glad we could watch it at home and take a break.
I think DiCaprio was fantastic in the movie. Although I did read a reviewer that I thought was totally off, that they thought it was miscast. They didn't think that DiCaprio should have played that character. They think he should have played the detective that Jesse Plemons played. And I'm like, no, that's the point. As an actor, he's playing a character against type.
That's what I like. Yes, that's what I said.
He's not the smart. He's not.
No,
he's playing
it takes
a buffoon.
A lot of effort to be that naive and a little bit duh. So yeah, I agree. I think it's an amazing performance.
Anyway,
what do we know?
All right.
What do we know?
Well, that was a long show. We're sorry, but we got all of our crap out of our system. Next week, we're not going to go into a lot of what's coming out just because it went so long, but we'll just surprise you all.
The only thing you do need to get to the movie. Oh, be careful, Sabini. You need to get the cool things coming out. Ted TV series. That's coming
this
out.
Week?
That's this week.
So is Echo. Echo is this week on Disney Plus.
And we talked about The Beekeeper coming out, Mean Girls. I mean, The Book of Clarence, which I think looks good. Things on Lyft on Netflix, Self-Reliance on Hulu, Roleplay on Prime. Destroy or Your Neighbors on Shudder. That looks fun. So there's a lot of stuff. Just go watch things. Go watch the movies.
Let's go watch things.
That's all. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. Peace be with you, my friends.